Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for coming. Welcome to our Clinked 101 webinar on files. Today in the team we have myself and Sarah. And the agenda today for our files is what are files, how to upload a file, how to create a folder, how to collaborate on files, and resources. And then at the end we'll have our Q&A session. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, or you can take yourself off mute after and we can discuss. So firstly, what are files? Files you can access from your group homepage by selecting the Files tool at the side. You'll see it circled here in red. We at Clinked understand how file storage is very important for your business, and with the Files tool, we make it easy to share documents with other members. These can be singular files or they can be within folders. We also offer an additional layer of security within these folders for files for confidentiality purposes. So I'll just talk you through how to upload a file. So there is a specific member type who are able to upload files. These are group admins and content contributors. A reader-only member can upload files, but only if they are permissioned to. We have a webinar and article on permissions. If you require more assistance with permissions and how to set them, we can direct you to that after. So if you have account rights, this green button that the arrow is pointing to here will be shown up at any time within your files section, unless permissioned otherwise. To upload a file, start by selecting this green button here. It says upload files. You'll then be taken to your computer files where you can select the document that you like. And here you'll see I have selected an inspection report from 2019, and you can select the permissions you'd like to apply and then click upload. You also have the option to drag and drop from your computer folder directly, and when you've done this, this is the image you'll see also. So there are a couple of options to upload. If you select this little drop-down box next to the arrow, you'll have the options attach files from your Google Drive and also select, send files from your email. To send files from Google Drive, when you select the attach files from Google Drive option, you'll be asked to potentially connect your Google account if you haven't already. This is very simple. You just follow the prompts. It's roughly about 2 steps. Once you've done this, you'll be shown this box, and this is where you'll select the files you wish to upload. To send files via your email, each folder has a unique email address. You'll find it by clicking email upload, and it'll bring up this box here. So once you've done this, you can send files to this email address and they'll be automatically uploaded into this specific folder. To give you an additional confidence for security reasons, the following conditions have been met in order for a user to upload files via email. So the email address with which a user has signed up to within Clinked connected to a person with permission to upload files to the group. So now I've spoken you through how to upload a file. I'll just talk you through how to create a folder. So you have the option to create a folder from scratch or to upload a folder from your computer files. You will see these 2 options highlighted in 1 or 2 on the screen. To get number 2 option to show, you have to select the drop-down arrow as we're pointing to here, and select upload file next to the upload files button. Upload folder isn't something that is used very often, so we'll spend a bit more time on how to create a new folder. So by selecting upload folder, you'll be taken to your computer files where you can select the folder you wish to upload. With permissions on folders, whichever permissions you've set on the main parent folder, these permissions will be carried down to the children folders within. Both options are very simple. Just select the new folder button and you'll be shown this box here. Here you can set your permissions and give the folder a name similar to files would.
All right, so now that we've talked through how you upload a file and also how you create a folder, one of the things that we want to go through with you is now how do you collaborate on files themselves? So as we were just talking about, collaboration all has to do with permissioning. So when you're creating the files or you're creating the folders, you want to make sure that you're thinking through who will have access to what. And mind you, these are all members of the group themselves have access to the content that's within the group, and that includes files as well as folders. If you want to be able to go beyond the usual setup or the default setup, which is generally shown here as shared with group members, and then automatically it will always come up as view, edit, and delete. If you want to change that, that's where you want to be able to go through the permissioning side of things when you're either setting up the folder or the file, as Olivia has just been talking about. What do I mean by that? You can always, within the shared with section, choose if you want all group members to be able to have access and what their interaction types are. The options here are view, view and edit, view, edit, delete, view, download, share, or administer. You'll be able to see all of these by going to our help section and being able to go into our files article, and you can see all of the different permissions options, or you can look at our permissions section as well, or permissions article as well. So after you've set up the permissions, if you want it to be all to all group members, you can do that. Obviously, you can also do it to nobody and then choose specific individuals you might want to be able to share it with as well. But to collaborate itself, there's a handful of different things that you can do when collaborating in specific files. Just as a view, this is a piece of content. It is a file that's within a folder. It is a doc, so it is a Word document here based upon the extension of the file type. In the case of docs, as well as PDFs and a few other different file types, you have the option to use annotation mode. So the way that you access the annotation mode is once you are in the content itself, so in the file, top left-hand corner, you'll see a handful of different icons. The third one in that looks like a comment box is the annotation mode. If you click onto that, this actually allows you to be able to highlight over a piece of text that is within the document itself and be able to add an annotated note. That note itself then is accessible to anyone else who's actually in the document, has been permissioned to be able to be within the file itself. And you can go back and forth to be able to note different changes or questions you might have, or other individuals who are members of your group might have. This is really handy when you are working through legal documents, or if you're working with your team on, say, a presentation or documentation that's going to go to a client, or you need to get feedback from a client about the drafting of a document between yourselves and them. It's a way for the individual who owns the end document to be working on that document outside of Clinked, but have the collaboration functionality here to be able to work together and annotate the changes. In addition to that, at the very bottom of documents or files, you also have the options for a handful of our collaboration functionality. So the big ones that people use quite a bit are comments. Comments are where you can add text messages, basically back and forth, to be able to comment either on questions that are in the document, anything that needs to be going back and forth between any individual member as well as the overall group can actually come right in here about the specific piece of content as the file itself. Other components that are used quite a bit are tasks. So this would be a way to be able to assign a task specific to this piece of content, so to this file, or to also ask for approvals. So right here you have the approval function. So say a client needs to actually give a sign off, or a manager needs to give a sign off on a document before it goes off to someone else, you can actually request approval, and then it's documented in the system as well. The other functions that are used here quite a bit on the collaboration side are versions. So as I mentioned before in my initial example of the use of annotations, if you've gone back and forth with a few parties around annotations and you've updated the document itself and you want to present it within your Clinked account, you can upload a new version of the file into your Clinked account, into the group itself, and it will actually show up here as in versions, and it will say you are uploading the second version of this document. It would show 2. When you click into here, you can actually see the 2 different versions of the document, so you don't have to worry about having version control or things of that nature in a different source. This is the one source, single source of truth for you when it comes to the files versioning. You can also restore old versions if you want to, and make notes on versions as well. The last thing I want to share on this is permissions. As we were talking about at the very beginning, you can set the permissions when you are uploading the file or a folder. In the file itself, you can also change the permissions at any point in time here on the right-hand side just by going to permissions. So there's two other pieces that I want to go through with you on collaboration or how to collaborate on files, one of which is actually this guest shared, and we're going to come to that in a moment, but I just want to flag up that this is what we will be talking about in a moment. So the first thing I want to mention in regards to requesting files. So often you'll put a folder into a Clinked group, and then from there you need to have other parties put their files into that folder. This functionality here, which is request files, which you can find by going into the files tool, going to the right-hand side to the drop down to the right of upload files, and the second option down is request files. When you click onto that, it actually prompts you to be able to start to put together an email prompt to be able to ask people to upload files into that specific folder. Now the window that would pop up looks like this. In the first box, you're able to write in your text, so a description that would go into the body of the email. You then are able to choose who you want to receive this email with the request for files based upon what the context was you set above. In here, you can enter the name of group members if you would like to be able to direct them directly to the folder. However, they will also get notifications because they are group members as well. You can also use this with non-members. So if you need to be able to work with, say, an outside party who isn't going to be a member of this group because they might only need to send files in once, or they might only need to work on a single piece of content once. You can actually add them in here via email address, and then they will receive an email that is prompted with your logo and the messaging that's in here as well. You can also set a deadline for the request files. So if you want the link to be able to add files into this area, you can also create it so that it's dead. So say it's only 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever you'd like to be able to do. And then you can also require a password if you'd like to. Once you hit send, the individuals whose names are listed here will receive an email with a link to be able to send the files directly into that folder. Next up, I want to go through that share with guests. So as I mentioned before, it's at the very bottom of a piece of content. You are able to share an individual piece of content or also a folder using the share with guest icon, which is to the right of a folder name. And within here, you're able to do something very similar to request with files, but this is actually for sharing with guests. So these are non-members. As I mentioned before, non-members generally are individuals who will only interact with a single piece of content or potentially a single folder. If they're going to interact more often, we highly recommend that you actually add them as members to the group so that you can do more collaboration together in that way. Now, if you were going to share with guests, you want to type in their email address, and then you want to make sure that you you add the check mark to send an email message. When that's checked off, there will actually be in the body of the email a note that says it's the individual who's requesting. In this case, we're logged in as Fiona Smith as a group member, and she is sharing a template or sharing the template for courses document with the individual whose name would be here. In addition, you can also edit that if you want to, depending upon your user permissions, by hitting the pencil icon here. And you can also add additional texts into this area if you want to send them an additional message. Say you hadn't had a chance to talk with them, but you wanted to have it there for when you actually do talk to them and they check their emails. You can also set additional security settings here, similar to what we were just showing you with the request file functionality, to be able to have an expiration date and then also a password. When you hit share here, again, they'll receive an email at the email address that's coming up here, and they'll have a hyperlink to be able to actually access that single piece of content, or if you do folders, the single folder area of your portal and of that specific group. They will not have access to any other component of your Clinked account unless you have also done guest share on other pieces of content. So with that, once you've set up your files, you've set up your folders, you've started collaborating, you will likely have lots of files that you need to be able to filter and view appropriately. So within that, there are 4 key ways that you are able to actually filter to be able to better use the system. Within this is the files tool area. You have 4 different options. So you have initially this view where you see all of the folders listed, and if there are any files, they'd be listed down as well. You can change that view by coming up here to where the number 1 is, where the 4 boxes are. If you click on the 4 boxes, that actually allows you the ability to change the views down here. That view will change from a list to a thumbnail view. So you'll actually see them more in boxes as a grid. In addition, when it's in this view, you can also filter by name. So you can see here, we've got the naming here. This filter by name, if you were to type in, say, insurance, only the insurance folder would show below, or any files that actually show the name insurance. In addition, within any of these columns, you are able to sort based upon naming conventions or dates, depending upon which ones you're sorting by. In addition, you can change the columns by coming here to the right where you have the 3 buttons, or the three dots in a line. In here, you can actually unlock what the different headers are, the column headers here. So say you didn't want to have last modified showed or versions as a list, you can check this box off and then it will go away. So with that, hopefully that has given you a really great understanding of how to use the file section in uploading a file, creating a folder, collaborating together, and also being able to filter and view as well. So the last bit that I have before we go into our Q&A is just to be able to discuss resources. If you have any questions on what we went over today, this webinar will be published. We will share it with all of our clients, so you'll actually have this as an email. If you receive the webinar link beforehand, you'll have a link to this as well. All of our past webinars are actually available on our YouTube channel. In addition to that, we do have a resources section. You can always access the resources by coming into your portal, going to the top right corner where you see your name. In this case, we have Fiona here. If you were to click on the down arrow, you have 2 options here. You have the help section, and you also have feature requests. The help section itself is where you can go to be able to get help articles. So if you wanted to find a files article, you could click into here and then be able to type into the filter bar, files, and you'll see a wonderful article that our team has put together. If you ever don't see something in there that you actually do need, you can always reach out to our team, or you can also come here to feature requests. If you click into feature requests, this will take you to another area where you can add a note to our team saying, potentially, I need a new article that has to do with, maybe it's share with guests. We do have one of those articles if you do need it. But yeah, that's exactly what you could do. You can also look to see if anyone else has put in any kind of feature requests. So whether that's something new within the tools area, or it's a new type of tool or new way of using the system in some way, you can look to see if someone else has already put in a feature request, if there's any kind of features that we're working on today, or if you don't see what you're looking for, you can also submit your own feature request. Lastly, if you need us at any point in time, you can always reach out to the team by emailing us at support@clinked.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can to be able to help with any questions you have. When you do submit a ticket to our support@clinked.com email address, all we ask is that you detail out as much as possible what it is that you need help with. Any images that you can use, screenshots, things of that nature, identification of the group, the user, etc. That would be very helpful for us to be able to help you as quickly as possible. So with that, let's go to the questions and answers. Does anyone have any questions? You're welcome to either enter it into the chat area or unmute yourself and you can just ask us directly. All right, I think we had one, which was, when I add a file to a group, how will people know that it's there? That is a great question. So anytime you've added a file onto a group, the members of that group will receive notifications. The notifications can be set up to either be notifications in the portal, which are controlled in the group settings area by either a group admin or an account admin. There's also the option to be able to set up email notifications. Email notifications can also be set up by both the group admin as well as the account admin. And then lastly, there's the option if you're using the mobile application to be able to set up as an individual what kind of push notifications you'd like to receive based upon the activity that's happening in the groups and the content that is within those groups. Let's see, does anyone else have any questions? Don't be shy.
Okay, so we have another question here. It says, if I'm collaborating on a file with comments, can I delete them at any point? So if you were to tag someone in a comment, yeah, at the bottom, you'll see a little sort of trash can symbol on the right-hand side. So if you wanted to remove that, you can remove that. In the audit trail, it will show that there has been a comment on that specific file, but the comment can be deleted by yourself, obviously, if you want to get rid of it.
Great. Well, I think with that, it looks like we might have had those as our 2 questions. If anyone has any additional questions after this, or you think of something that you'd like to be able to ask the team, please reach out to us at support@clinked.com. And with that, I just have to say thank you very much for joining us today. We hope that you've learned a lot today in our Clinked 101 Files webinar, and looking forward to speaking with you all soon. Thank you so much.